When it comes to new games coming out and what to look forward to, it can, depending on the player, feel like there are too many things to keep track of, with all the bigger titles in the AAA side of things, and then with the swarm of indies being released on a daily basis. Sometimes you want to go with something kind of reliable, whether that be a sequel to a series or a game you enjoyed before, and even just seeing what a developer you've come to enjoy is making next. But what if a developer sort of takes a different route for their next game? What if they are taking their audience into unknown territory? We know their prior quality, but if they're going in a completely new direction, like a different genre, or something so new, it's exciting and leaves some stuff up in the air, we just don't know. And that's kinda how I feel about Rebellion's own Atomfall. At first glance, you would think that this game looks like it's lifting inspiration from various other bigger titles to sort of make their own statement on it. When I look at Atomfall, I'm seeing elements of Fallout, Metro, Stalker, and even some of BioShock. And that isn't to say that Atomfall will be on the same level of those games, or honestly even really be like them considering most of us haven't played it yet. But whether intentional or by design, lifting from good to great games is never really a bad thing, especially with how Atomfall seems to be putting their own personal twist on it. So in that sense, it's going to be less of a clone, hopefully, and more so taking inspiration from some of the greats, and then being unique too. Just look at some of the footage for the title. I can see and honestly feel how I'm just itching to explore, search, and see whatever I can find here. How can I grow in my strength? What is there to find? What choices should I make? What paths should I take? I think the initial shots of gameplay have done a pretty good job of pulling me in and hitting me with some intrigue. I'm very interested in this one. I do want to back up a bit because when I see the developer Rebellion, I usually expect something fun. They have been a very reliable set of developers, with consistent releases for a long time now. We have seen several Sniper Elite titles, zombie army games, and even some fun offshoots like Strange Brigade, along with going back even further when they made the really fun Dread game. They have an impressive catalog of fun games, and in the last decade or so, they've been my go-to for good, reliable, and consistent fun. I know what I'm getting when I see Sniper Elite or Zombie Army. It's probably going to be good to great, and they always manage to bring the fun. But when looking at something like Atomfall on face value, we are entering the unknown as it pertains to this game and developer. This is a huge shift in what Rebellion usually makes. I do give them credit for doing this. While I love seeing new sequels for many of their established properties, to then see them sort of get out of their own comfort zone and try something new, well, this is where we can see even more growth with this developer. Sure, they've never made a game like Atomfall before, or honestly not even close to it, but maybe something like this was in their past, but if so, I don't know about it. So we'll just take that Atomfall as something completely new for them. This is Rebellion experimenting, sort of going into a new sandbox with a new set of toys. Will this game be able to deliver? Will their wheelhouse then be expanded? Or will this be something that they tried and we're never going to see anything like it again? Personally, I hope they succeed. I love this developer, and I want to see them continue to make more great games. I think they might end up surprising us with this too. So there is some information that I got from some of the previews. As it pertains to the more RPG-like stuff in the game, I really like the notion of this title having more player-initiated exploration. So apparently there are these things that are leads, and they are kind of like your quests, or at least that is how I understand it. The leads leave it up to the player to then figure out and then seek stuff out. A lead can then turn into a set of leads, kind of like having one starting quest, and then that evolves into another quest. Almost like a part 2 adding more depth to the world, and the events that you're playing within. I really like this concept, and it sounds like it's the game's way to deliver enough direction while leaving it up to the player to then do the work and then complete it, and then follow through with those leads. Through the leads there are choices, which from the sound of it, then the quest can be completed in a few different ways. Again, the promise of just this concept could do wonders for exploration, and honestly replay value. Seeing how a situation could play out differently, depending on the player's actions. The developers have stated that the player can kill most of the NPCs within the game, or even cooler, not at all. If you can complete most of the quests within the game without ever killing a major player, that is kinda awesome, and I wonder how these deaths or even leaving people alive will then reflect the overall narrative. Dialogue choices add on to this for more options for the player on how they want to approach and then handle individuals within the game. Something else that was interesting is that the developers spoke about game-changing events that the player could either come across or even outright miss. If the player does engage with them, it can affect everything within the world, and the developer even admitted that this was more of an experimental element to the gameplay, and wasn't even sure how this would end up working until players are actually able to dive into it for themselves. That right there conceptually sounds really cool, and while the provided explanation is rather vague, it certainly has my interest. Combat seems to offer all sorts of tools from melee weapons, guns, and even bows to use. Stealth is one of the many viable options too, with supplies being rather scarce, so the player is going to really need to consider if they want to get into that gunfight and use that ammo, or maybe they'll save it for another occasion. Atomfall seems to have a real survival-like element to it, and I'm not certain if we'll need to worry about how your avatar needs to sleep, eat, or drink. But what I know as it relates to this game is that I really am going to enjoy exploring here, or at least I hope so. Atomfall is said to be about a 15 to 25 hour game. I am all for this. I'm actually happy that this isn't some super huge game, but rather from the sound of it, it's got this good size with a nice density, and then combining all of the other elements at play here, it sounds like it's going to bring a lot of that replay value. What choices will the player make? Which ones can they make? How will this be as it pertains to interacting with other NPCs and quests? How will you determine the best paths for your leads? What world-changing events will you find? It's all very promising, and honestly from the developer that has been doing a great job with the stealth action sniping shooting, with their Sniper Elite series especially. I am happy to see them getting outside of their normal wheelhouse. Who knows, Rebellion might be able to knock this one out of the park and be able to provide this satisfying survival experience that they are trying to intend it to be. I'm looking forward to it, and I wish the team the very best of luck on their launch. What are your thoughts on all of this? Are you interested in Atomfall? Do you think it will be any good? Let me know all of this in the comments down below. If you're interested in supporting the channel, please check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you can help to keep this channel going strong, and this allows me to be able to do more for my awesome audience. Please check out the links in the description and pinned comment for ways to support the channel. And most of all, thank you very much for watching.